So, welcome, hello to anybody who's joining us for our third session of Take a Break Live. If we'll just wait to see if anybody else joins us. If you have seen the two previous sessions, welcome back. We've been doing a bit of Makaton at the beginning of every session, so this is the Makaton for hello. It's great to have you all here. My name is Annie and I am one of the co-founders of OM Health and Wellbeing Consultancy, and we started doing Take a Break just to try and give out some advice, some help, some top tips that we think will really help and support people during these really tricky times. So as a request, this session of Take a Break today will be focusing quite a lot on sleep. Somebody DM'd us to say that actually they would really like some advice because they're really struggling. And if there are any other topics that you think would be really useful, please just get in touch and we're more than happy to try and cover those during the sessions that we're running as part of Take a Break. So to start this session, I thought because it's going to be mainly about sleep, it would be really good to actually do the Makaton for sleep. So the Makaton sign for sleep is actually just this, which I think is rather nice. So we're going to focus really on sleep. And I suppose I'm thinking, I wonder how everybody else is feeling. We're now into week 3 and that seems pretty amazing that we've got here. Certainly, I think that I'm getting into a bit of a rhythm and a routine of what life is like now. It's this new normal that we've all got is becoming a bit more, a bit more easy to cope with, I don't know, but still struggles. And I think it's still that uncertainty which makes us all feel very, very wobbly. And when we think about that in terms of sleeping, actually, stress, even at low levels, can really have an impact on how we feel. So it makes us feel really drained and can be really, really tiring. And at the moment, I think underlying everything, I think we're all feeling a little bit stressed. And I think because of being at home and working from home, which a lot of people are doing currently, what happens is that sometimes that lack of structure and also that idea that actually finding it difficult to have something that you find interesting to do, something where actually you're taking some time and looking after yourself. I know that for me, my routine has changed completely, and I'm now showering in the evenings rather than in the mornings because I don't have to get up and get ready to go to work in the morning. So my routine has changed completely, and that means that sort of during the day I tend to wear just my joggers around the house because I'm not going anywhere, and doing that sort of little bit of self-care. If you don't have any interest in doing that because you don't have a reason to shower in the morning and put a bit of makeup on or shave or whatever it might be, actually that all feeds into that whole thing about time tends to stretch out a bit and tends to go quite slowly if you don't have that structure, if you don't have an interest in something that can keep you going. And really, psychologically, humans are hardwired for growth and for stimulation. And those are the two really most important things to keep us going, and that will really help with us not starting to feel, really lethargic, feel really defeated, and having a real impact on our mood. Because the less you do, the less you feel like you want to do. So the less you exercise, the less you want to exercise, and the more tired that you start to feel. And all of that has a massive impact on how we're sleeping and how we feel about ourselves. Lack of sleep, was used as a form of torture, and it is absolutely associated with, you know, low mood, irritability, you know, really struggling to focus and concentrate. And I know for myself, being at home, just it's tricky to concentrate anyway for any length of time, because of all the uncertainty that's going on, and not getting a good night's sleep just sort of seems to heighten that feeling by, you know, 100%. You know, if you haven't had a good night's sleep, your emotions run really close to the surface, and you can just go at any little thing. It makes it so tricky. And what we use something which is called a glitter mind, to think about actually how does your mind feel when you don't have enough sleep, when you have got big emotions that are feeling like they're overwhelming you, if you feel a bit wobbly, if you feel a bit anxious. So, you know, at times when you can't focus and you can't concentrate on anything, this is how, you know, your head feels. You know, you can't concentrate, you can't focus, you know, you can't actually make reasonable decisions, and you can't think straight when your head feels like this. And if you've had a really bad night's sleep, this is probably how your head feels most of the time. And I would say that for quite a lot of us at the moment, just because of how uncertain life feels, actually your glitter is all over the place for quite a long period of time anyway. It almost feels like it's just simmering under the surface. It's just there. You never quite get it to be totally settled. And what we really need is to get a good night's sleep. We need all the glitter to be as settled as it can be, so that we give ourselves the best chance to get some sleep. And I'm going to give you some tips that will really help to settle your glitter, so that you're in the best place you can possibly be to get a good night's sleep. And we'll come back to the glitter minds. I love these, we all love these. And if you do really like that, I like just shaking and just watching, it's absolutely mesmerising. There is a link on our bio to our website, and there is a really short video that you can watch about how to make your own glitter mind. But I absolutely love just watching them. It's so calming, and I think it just really helps us to just sort of settle and focus and just take a second. So if we think about sleep, you know, there are two distinct stages of sleep. There's and I think most people know about those two stages. So the first stage is the rapid eye movement, so REM sleep, and that's the time really when we do all of our dreaming. And then the other type of sleep that we have is something called non-REM sleep, so non-rapid eye movement sleep. And really that time during our sleep process, our sleep cycle, is when the most physical growth goes on, and that's why you find that young children need more sleep than adults, because obviously they're growing a lot more than adults do. And also it's during that type of sleep that we process our emotional memories that have been made. And getting a good night's sleep is vital to everybody's well-being. So if you read anything out there, any research that's out there, that one of the first things that they talk about in terms of getting a good night's sleep is to have a really good regular sleep routine. You know, the advice is that you go to bed every single night at the same time, and you get up at the same time in the morning, regardless of whether or not it's the weekend, regardless of whether or not it's a Good Friday, which is tomorrow, you know, a bank holiday. What you do is you go to bed at more or less the same time, and you get up at more or less the same time every day. You know, and if you normally are up at 6 in the morning to get ready for work, or, you know, to get ready for school, or whatever it is, I would just say don't have weekends where actually you're still in bed at 2 o'clock. I'm not saying that you don't need to have, you don't need to get up at 6 at the weekend, but I think it would be really a good idea to try and keep your wake up time and get up time at about the same time every day. And that is certainly the advice that is given. If you think about having, if you young babies, we aim for them to actually get to bed at the same time every night, and then they will be waking up at the same time every morning. So trying to stick to that. And I think the thing is, it's about being consistent, because you're not going to change your sleep habits overnight. You're not suddenly going to start doing all of the things that I might suggest, and you're going to have a fantastic night's sleep all the way through. It is about being consistent, and it's about doing it every single night. You also need to think about what you're doing during the day that has an impact on your sleep in the evening. So one of the first things would be about getting some exercise, and getting some exercise out in the fresh air has a massive impact, a positive impact on sleep. I think if you could actually exercise first thing in the morning, there is some research that tells us that actually what that does is that helps our melatonin levels for when we're actually going to sleep. So if you are exercising at all during the day, try if you can to make sure that it's first thing in the morning that you have your exercise, because melatonin is actually the hormone that is used. It's produced in the pineal gland in the brain, and actually melatonin is the hormone that triggers the process for us all to get ready to go to sleep. And what we need it to be is melatonin needs to be at its highest level, just as we're thinking about going to sleep. And then what happens is it then drops throughout the night and lowers, so that actually by about 7 o'clock in the morning it's much lower, and that's the time when, as adults, we're all starting to think about getting up and getting out of bed, 7-8 o'clock. Now if you are a teenager, or you have a teenager that you're at home with currently, your melatonin levels, adolescent melatonin levels, are not the same. And it's really important to think about that when you're thinking about sleep routines for teenagers. So for a teenager, for us as adults, our melatonin levels will be at the highest peak, probably at around 10, 11 o'clock in the evening. So that's when we feel really tired. And then probably at its lowest at about 7 o'clock in the evening. For teenagers, you would be looking that their melatonin levels will not peak until about midnight, 1 o'clock. So that much later in the evening. So they then won't get their dip of melatonin levels until 9, 10 in the morning. So they want to go to bed a lot later because they don't feel sleepy, and then they will sleep in later than adults will as well. And it's important to bear that in mind as well when you're thinking about a sleep routine for teenagers. Definitely, because not only are they battling all the uncertainty about what's going on currently, they're also battling the hormone levels that will help them to get to sleep. But doing some exercise in the mornings will help your melatonin levels to peak in the evenings, so that you are more likely to then start the process of actually getting ready and going to bed. The melatonin acts as that initiation process that leads us to fall asleep, and that is really triggered by the change in light. So as it gets darker, your melatonin levels get higher. The other thing that you really need to think about for during the day and how that might impact on your sleep is actually what you're eating and what you're drinking. The advice is to try and avoid any caffeine after lunchtime, and think about some of the hidden caffeine that there might be. So caffeine in sugary drinks, obviously there's still caffeine in tea, so you do need to think about that. But the advice is really that caffeine is a stimulant, it keeps you awake. And actually what we need to be doing is trying to avoid caffeine from about lunchtime. So maybe sort of 12, 1 o'clock, and not have any caffeine afterwards. We also need to avoid the sugary drinks. There's a lot of research that says that they impact on sleep. That it's a bit unclear at the moment about why or how, but there certainly is a link between sugary drinks and then actually being able to get to sleep and the quality of sleep. Because it's not only about the amount of sleep that you're having, it's also about the quality of the sleep that you're having. Alcohol has a massive impact on sleep. You know, it is a depressant, and potentially in very low levels, what happens is that alcohol can help you to get to sleep really quickly, makes you drop off. But then what does happen is that as the alcohol is then processed during the night whilst you're asleep, it then impacts in making your sleep more wakeful, and you will have more wakeful events throughout the night, and actually you will have a much lighter sleep if you've been drinking alcohol. So it's just about being careful about your alcohol intake and thinking about actually, you know, how much alcohol am I drinking, and what impact is that having on my sleep. The other one to really think about as well is the nicotine. You know, if you are a smoker, you know, nicotine is a short-acting stimulant, so we need to be really careful that you're not having that last, just before you go to bed, cigarette, or, you know, whatever else it is that you're smoking. Just think about, actually, I need to make sure that that doesn't happen just before I'm trying to go to sleep and I'm trying to go to bed, because it acts as a stimulant. And then you need to think really carefully about what your wind down routine is going to be. What is your routine going to be about, actually, you know, I'm getting ready for bed, what's going to happen, how am I going to manage this? And having a really good wind down routine will have, you know, an impact on how well you sleep. So one of the key things about a wind down routine and getting ready to go to bed is to be screen free. You know, I did you know, when I was looking about the information to do this session today, you know, browsing social media is now one of the most common pre-sleep activities that we all do. And actually it's not great for getting to sleep. You know, the advice is that you are screen free for at least an hour before you attempt to try and go to sleep. And that includes things like telephones, mobile phones, iPads, gaming devices, that actually you just put them aside for at least an hour before you go to bed. Partly it's to do with the light. You know, if you're looking at a phone and there's quite a bright light, actually what that does is that, you know, it's that melatonin and those signals about, is it time to go to bed? You know, melatonin acts on those signals about, actually the reduced light means that it's time for sleep. So it's worth thinking about that. There's also the whole thing about the content, you know, the excitement of the content. I know that if I had my phone beside me in bed and I used it as my alarm clock, and I actually pressed on it in the middle of the night to see what the time was, if there was a notification from WhatsApp, or, you know, somebody's been trying to get in contact with me, I would really struggle not to look. It would be beyond me, I think, to actually be able to resist the temptation just to have a look at that. And then once you've had a look at that, you're awake, and actually fires up your brain, and it makes it really, really hard to get to sleep. And if you're thinking about, you know, how many notifications that you might get during the day, actually think how many notifications you get overnight as well. And if you've got children, think about what's happening for them overnight as well, about their notifications. So I would say, if you can, you know, get all electronic devices out of your bedroom. I know that when we say this to teenagers, that tends to create quite a stir. But if you can, if you actually think, there's no way that I could possibly do that, try and think about, if you are going to struggle to stop using your screen, think about trying to look at some content where you avoid anything that might be really overstimulating or demand a high level of engagement from you. So try and do something that is really mindless, and you don't need to be concentrating very much on what's going on. And you know, ideally, phones out of your bedroom, but if not, at least as far away from your bed as you possibly can. Certainly not under your pillow charging, please, because they are hot electronic devices under your pillow where they get hot and they will just burst into flames. So yeah, try and think about, I need to avoid the electronic devices in the bedroom, and try and think about building up to having, and you know, start with, okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes. And then over a period of time, just build it up so that you then build into your wind down routine, having an hour before you go to sleep or attempt to go to bed without screen time. Think about, having a warm bath, having a really nice milky drink, a hot chocolate, something like that. Just be aware of your caffeine. But all of those things will help you to do that wind down process and think about actually now is the time to go to sleep. You need to think about your bedroom environment. It needs to be cool, it needs to be dark, it needs to be quiet. You need to think about actually how this mattress that I'm on, when was the last time I changed it? Because the advice is every 8 years. And if you are sleeping on a mattress that you've had for the last 20, it might be worth thinking about now is the time to change my mattress and is this comfortable? Are there lumps and bumps in it that are keeping me awake? And your bedroom and your bed should be a place that you want to go to sleep. Because I think that's the other thing about bedrooms and mattresses and beds is that really beds should not really be a place where you go to check your social media or to game or do anything like that. It needs to be a place where actually what you do when you go into your bedroom and go to bed is the idea is that you go to sleep. Okay. Think about potentially hiding the clock. If you do have an alarm clock, think about hiding it so that you can't see it. There is absolutely nothing worse than clock watching all night if you can't get to sleep. It makes us feel so anxious that we're not getting to sleep because you're looking at the clock thinking, oh, it's another hour gone and I'm still not asleep, or it's only 2 hours till I have to get up. I know that I hide my clock face when I go to sleep and when I go to bed, because I know that if I get up in the morning and I look, if I'm in the middle of the night and I'm looking at the clock and I see the time and I think, oh God, and it just increases anxiety. So if you can, think about hiding the clock face, which might really help. If you are somebody that is struggling to get to sleep because your mind is constantly racing, and you are somebody who is there thinking, I should have done this, I need to do this tomorrow, whatever it might be sometimes useful to keep a notebook and a pen by the side of your bed. Because then what you do is because we can't stop those thoughts coming into your head when your mind's racing about all these things. It might be worth having a notebook so that you can just jot down the things that you think, I must remember to do that tomorrow. And once you've jotted it down on your notebook, that's it. You can think, well, okay, I don't need to worry about that anymore because it's there, and I know that I will be looking at my notebook tomorrow, and I know that that will go on the list of things that I need to do. If I go back to our glitter minds, if your head feels like this because you are just thinking about all the different things that you didn't do today or all the different things that you need to do tomorrow, it's gonna be really tricky to get to sleep. So having the notebook sometimes is a really good way to think, I just need to put that down so that I don't forget it, and then I can just tune out and try and think I don't need to worry about that. One of the other techniques that is really crucial to settling the glitter is, and also really crucial to thinking about sleep, is a breathing technique that you can use, which is really helpful. So it is called, we call it 4-5-6 breathing. And that, there's lots of techniques out there. And to be really honest, the numbers don't really matter a huge amount. The most important thing is that the out breath needs to be longer than the in breath. So we do 4-5-6 because it's quite easy to remember. So what you would do is you would take an in breath that lasts for the count of 4. You then hold your breath for the count of 5, and then you would breathe out really, really slowly and in a really controlled way for the count of 6. Almost imagine that you've got a birthday cake in front of you with all of your candles on, which is going to be however many they're going to be for your next birthday. And when you do your out breath, you're not allowed to blow any of the candles out. All you're allowed to do is to make the candles flicker. So if we think about, if you have got a head which is feeling like this because you're asleep and your glitter's all over the place, if you did 2, 4, 5, 6 breaths, what that does is just allows time for your glitter to settle. Now the trick for sleeping is to actually just put your tongue at the back of your top teeth whilst you do the breaths. And what it does, it's a way of just getting you to do some mindful breathing. Now, Sue, who is the other co-founder of OM Health and Wellbeing Consultancy, she does 4-5-6 breathing. She has practiced it and you do need to practice. It doesn't just happen straight away, but she has practiced it because we do try to practice what we preach. But she has practiced the 4-5-6 breathing with the tongue behind your top teeth while she's asleep or while she's struggling to get to sleep. And she tells me now that if she wakes up in the night, she can do 2, 4, 5, 6 breaths with her tongue just behind the top of her top teeth. And then that's it. She is asleep, and it works really, really well for her. So being able to just settle your glitter mind and just think about actually 4-5-6 breathing. I'm going to do a couple of those just with my tongue behind my top teeth are going to really help just to settle the glitter and give me a better chance of getting to sleep. I think the other thing that I would really think about if you are struggling to get to sleep is that they say probably for an adult after about 20 minutes of struggling, if you're lying in bed, would be to actually get up and go and do something different. And I know that if I struggle to get to sleep after about sort of 20 minutes, what I would do is I would get up. I normally come downstairs and I would pick up a book and read a book. It's worth thinking about alternative remedies. So I absolutely swear by valerian tea. It doesn't taste particularly nice, but it works an absolute treat. It is nature's equivalent of Valium, but obviously without any of the horrible side effects or, because it is natural and because it is plant-based. So have a cup of valerian tea. It's about half an hour before you want to go to sleep, and it just makes your limbs feel heavy, makes you just feel more relaxed. So valerian tea would be one that I would really recommend as a way to get to sleep. And I think that the thing about getting to, pick up a really boring book. If you have, a health and safety policy from work that you need to read, I bet if you picked it up, you would be asleep in about 2 seconds flat. So, there's no point picking up a book where you want to know what happens next, where you want to know what's going on with that character, what's next in the plot. Actually pick up a boring book and one that, you're not really interested in, and, read that, and hopefully that will really help you to get off to sleep. There's all sorts of relaxation techniques and, apps and websites and things that you could have a look at. Certainly there is lots of information out there about meditation for sleep. Sue and I really like Smiling Mind, which is an app that we recommend. Just because it's really easy to navigate, and actually you can get individual little meditations and you can choose how long they are, whether it's a 1 minute, a 3 minute, a 10 minute, and actually they are organised in terms of suitability in terms of age group, but also around topic. So you can pick up a meditation there which is all around, specifically around sleep, which would be really helpful. And anything really that helps you to just get, I'm going to get my glitter bottle out again because I love it, just gets your glitter to settle would be a really positive thing to do around getting to sleep. I think that's sort of like the basics of getting a really helping to think about how do I get a really good night's sleep. So think about what you're doing during the day, get a bit of exercise in the mornings, get outside, get into the fresh air, think about your wind down routine, what's that going to look like, try and limit your screen time, and also think about that whole going to bed at the same time every day and getting up at the same time every morning. So I hope that has been helpful. Please would you make sure that you just comment or direct message us if you've got anything else that you would like to be covered in Take a Break sessions. If you want to make a glitter mind, if you go onto our bio, there's a link to our website, and there is a really short video on how to make your own glitter mind. I mean, I love them, but anyway, yeah, but there's a short video on how to make them. And you know, we do some other stuff as well. So we do offer something called Take Time to Talk, which is an opportunity to be able to just have a conversation with one of us if you're feeling a bit wobbly, if you're feeling, you know, a bit overwhelmed. And again, just please go onto our website, link to, you know, the link is in our bio, go onto our website and just send us a message through the website or direct message us on here. And you know, if you've liked what we've done, please get your friends, tell everybody about it, give us a follow on Instagram. It's every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Without fail, it'll be me. So yeah, and somebody's just asked what was the link. So it's Smiling Mind is the app that we really like. And actually they've just introduced a new section on Smiling Mind, which is about checking in on your well-being and how you're doing, and that's really nice because it's very much based on the Department of Health 5 Ways to Wellbeing, which we talked about in our first Take a Break session. And you know, go on to our Instagram, and they're all of the two previous sessions that we've done are saved there, so you can watch them and have a look back of what we've been doing. But yeah, please tell your friends. And hopefully, don't forget the Makaton for sleep, the Makaton for hello, and we'll just end. I wonder if anybody can remember the Makaton for be safe. So the Makaton for be safe was even I've forgotten now. Let me start again. The Makaton for be safe is be safe. Okay, have a brilliant Easter weekend, everyone. I hope it's been helpful. Thank you very much. No, I can't stop the video now, so